Welcome to This Week in Film. It's the weekly podcast where we get together and talk about the movies we saw over the past week. I'm Nick Panunto, joined as always by Midwest Matt Lauer. Matt.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going, dude?
It's going all right. How are you, Nick?
I'm doing okay. We watched a couple movies this week. We're finally gonna talk about the two movies that filmmakers reached out to us to watch their work, and I watched both of them. A movie called Danger Boys, Punks in Osaka, and another movie called Les Sequels, or Le Fear 2 Les Sequels. I'm not sure exactly what the title is. But what did you watch, Matt? You watched...
I watched Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Well, why don't we save that for the end, because I don't care if that gets spoiled.
Sure thing.
So the first movie I want to talk about is a documentary called Danger Boys, Punks in Osaka. And it's directed by Nick Romy, who contacted me on the internets. And he wanted me to watch this film that he made about it's just an underground the underground punk rock scene in Japan. It was kind of fascinating to watch. But the best part was the performances from the punk rock bands, because these are some small clubs that they perform in, and I mean, like, crazy small, like they feel like they're the size of a small bedroom. And these punk rock dudes just going full bore, like shirtless, like flailing around, all that stuff. And I'm looking at the IMDb page because I don't remember the bands that were in it, but it features bands called Flat Sucks, PP, Bypass, Low Card, Demont, and CW, and a couple other bands. And I really don't have too much to add to discussing it, because it's really just a live concert footage of these highly energetic, pretty entertaining bands in Japan.
Well, did you find out, was there anything that in terms of like learning what the scene is like? Well, I guess the settings are quite different, but is there anything about like the culture or anything that strikes you as different from like kind of concert culture for
I guess what I thought were, like I said before, with the size of the venues are so small, but these bands go full on. We're both big fans of the band Tool, and you know how Maynard James Keenan on stage, how he like quote unquote dances, where he just kind of like bends over and moves his arms around.
A lot of gyrating and stuff.
Yeah. Like, imagine that times 100 in a room the size of a large bathroom.
So they're basically in a contained mosh pit while they're performing?
I wouldn't say it's a mosh pit. I'd say the crowds are pretty reserved.
Okay. So the band's going crazy, but the people who are there watching are kind of staying still?
I wouldn't say standing still, but they're not. It's not like in a New York rock club or something like that, where everybody's going nuts. Like, it just seems like everyone watches the band. And it's the same for all the bands, even though all the bands have like a slightly different sound. The performances of the band are what really stands out. Now, I don't speak Japanese, which is what the bands were singing. But the really energetic, really high energy, and a lot of music.
Can you can you compare the music to any bands here, like to give someone a sense of like whether it's the kind of because like is it like a ska punk? Is it?
Oh, it's like hardcore punk, like like blah, 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 blah. That's how hardcore punk sounds.
Just like that. Huh?
Yeah. Like a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, a lot of shirtless flailing around. Like I said before. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth a watch. It's available on Amazon Prime Video. So if you've got Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free, and it's only like 45 minutes, and it's pretty cool.
Does the documentarian share what kind of brought their interest to this topic?
No, not really. I guess it's just his interest in the punk rock scene in Japan. They do go into a little bit. There's like an American guitarist who floats around between the bands, and that storyline's pretty interesting for a little bit. And other than that, it's just like a neat quick little look into the a music scene in a foreign country that I didn't even realize existed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then the other movie that I watched, which was recommended or suggested to us by its director, is called Le Sequel. It was directed by Jason Crute, and it's a 100% improvised film about the making of a horror movie, and it is not super great, but the acting in it is terrific. If it's 100% improvised like they said it is terrifically acted, because it feels like they're all reading from a script.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool then, because when you described it and you said improvised, I thought, oh, good God, that'd be terrible.
Yeah, no, it's pretty well done. You could tell it's got a crazy low budget, which is fine, but it's pretty well done. The acting is terrific. There are a couple of really funny moments, but it's basically the plot of the movie is this film it's basically, imagine if you know the emails you get from Nigeria about the Nigerian prince who,
yeah.
Imagine if you fell for one of those.
I sent that guy $8,000.
Yeah, and it's gonna work out for you. I know it.
I know. I can't wait.
But this is like a filmmaker says, I'd like to make this horror film. And they say, okay, well, in order to do that, you need to put up $500,000 of your own money, and we'll give you $10 million to this film company in Nigeria called Nollywood. So that's basically what it is. It's like a Nigerian movie scam where the director put up all this money, all of his own money, but not getting anything of the 10 million he was promised. So it just goes from one disaster to another. Like some of the actors quit. The makeup lady is a crazy whore. It's just one crazy thing after the other. It's not a laugh out loud kind of movie, but it definitely held my attention the entire time, which I was impressed with.
Does it give you the sense of kind of like behind the scenes sort of stuff when movies are about movies being made and that kind of thing? You can feel the sort of inside jokes and the, oh yeah, that's how it would be, kind of feel where you're like, oh yeah, this is what it would be like to be an actor. Do you kind of get that sense?
No, not really. It's more over the top kind of stuff.
Okay.
Where and so he's making a horror movie, and they hire this one woman to be like their prop master, and her credit is that she worked on Avatar, and they're shooting the first scene, and the male and female co-actors are like talking over a bike, or over a map, and from around the corner this inflatable alien just rolls over that's connected to this RC car. It's really dumb image, but it really cracked me up. It's just like the worst special effect you've ever seen, and it's totally out of place, and it was like it's like the scene in a horror movie where the couple is like, well, maybe we should take a shortcut, and they're like, okay, and then after they take the shortcut is when things start going wrong. But this is like while they're looking at the map, this alien on an RC car rolls up next to them, and it's really a silly image. But then the movie continues, and it's a lot of like little things like that.
So the jokes aren't really so much about the culture or anything as they are the events that are actually happening.
Yeah,
like the things that are going wrong.
yeah. It's like the main actor is a guy named Kyrie. I'm gonna brutalize his last name, Kyrie Safaris. He does a great job. I thought he was terrific. Like I said, it does not feel like he's improvising any of his lines. And his frustration is really super clear. And then all the actors do a good job, and it's definitely like if you ever have a chance to check it out, it's probably worth watching. It's an hour and a half, and it doesn't feel its length. It's pretty good, and I'm not sure I've ever seen a movie that was 100% improvised either. So that was a neat little tidbit.
What's it seem like it was filmed on?
It looks like it was shot with like SLR cameras.
Okay.
You could tell it's really low budget, but it looks like this is like it's called Le Sequel, but like I've seen it. I did a little bit of a research on it, and it looks like it's like the sequel to another movie that they did. And this movie is also a mockumentary style of a film. I'm not sure if I mentioned that.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a documentary of the making of the movie.
Gotcha.
I would read some trivia on it, but there isn't any.
Well, fair enough then.
Because
so it's worth the hour and a half. Huh?
Yeah, I would say if you come across it, check it out. It was pretty cool to watch, and especially for such a low budget film, to see somebody's vision come to life like that.
Do you know what the budget actually was?
I do not. But okay. It can't be super high.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was Le Sequel. I'm not sure where you can find it. The director of the movie sent me a copy, but it was fun. It was fun to watch.
Well, if I happen to run across it somewhere, I'll check it out.
Yeah. Now to get to the big dinosaur movie of the year, Matt, tell us about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Well, so you know how last week I was really annoyed and angry with Solo?
Yeah.
There's apparently a counter feeling to that. I am equally... This movie was every bit as bad and worse than that.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah. It's really awful. But I didn't find myself annoyed and angry as much as I was baffled. You know, I'm going to liken it for a moment to, not to get too political here or anything, but I'm a fairly liberal person. Something just beeped. Is everything okay?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay, so during the Bush years, I found myself very angry. These days, I also am very angry, but occasionally I'm also kind of bewildered and almost impressed by how crazy and ridiculous and awful things can be.
Uh-huh.
Now, I wasn't quite so angry, but I had sort of a similar sense of like, man, I'm almost impressed by how far off the rails this movie's going. So everything that used to be good about Jurassic Park is pretty much gone. I mean, there are still dinosaurs in the movie, but to be honest, they don't look that great. You can tell it's expensive, but there's just, I think occasionally some of them are robotics or puppeteering, but for the most part it's CGI. And in the first Jurassic Park, both effects were impressive. The CGI stuff was really great. There are some things that, especially on a small screen, you can go, okay, that brontosaurus looks like the contrast is a little different from, the scenery or whatever.
Yeah.
But it still really works. And in this thing, there are dinosaurs, but there is no sense of like immersion. It doesn't seem like they're really there at all. And so that's a shame, because that's the only thing the movie has going for it. Jeff Goldblum was someone that I was excited to see in the movie. If you've seen the preview, you've seen pretty much all of his lines.
Really?
He's in it for probably a combined 45 seconds. There are a couple things that, I'll say for the first half hour of it, maybe 20 minutes, I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. I don't know what's, what everyone is saying this is awful for. This seems like it's off to a decent start. And then there's a turning point. I'm like, oh, okay.
What is the turning point?
I tried to pinpoint it, because I definitely had the thought when it happened in the movie, but I can't remember what it was. Let me kind of outline the plot a bit.
Sure.
So when the movie starts, there's a debate going on about whether or not to save all the animals from Isla Nublar, the island where Jurassic Park took place, the island where Jurassic World took place, and apparently there's a live volcano that's very active. So I guess somehow they didn't know that when they were building these theme parks.
Volcanoes spring up all the time.
Well, obviously they get active sometimes. But somehow this snuck by them, and it's going nuts. This island's about to go down, and there's debate about whether or not these animals have the same rights as other animals and should be rescued, or whether it's just like, no, this whole thing was a mistake, and it's been a mistake since the first movie, or the first chapter of this dinosaur story. And for some reason, now let me ask you a question. Let me pose something.
Okay.
Do you remember the characters from Jurassic World?
Chris Pratt and Ron Howard's daughter.
Bryce Dallas Howard. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So you remember the actors. Do you remember the characters?
Chris Pratt played Chris Pratt.
True.
And then there was Ron Howard's daughter.
Okay. So, right. And I don't even know what their name. I think his name might be Owen and her name might be Claire. If I'm wrong, I'm not surprised.
Claire.
But anyway, he was the one of the two of them who actually had any sort of relationship with the dinosaurs. She was pretty focused on, like, let's market these things and keep this park going because I'm a business person and that's my deal.
Right.
At the beginning of this movie, she is like the spearhead of kind of like a grassroots movement to get, the Senate and whatever other parts of the government to agree to rescue the dinosaurs. When eventually he comes into the picture, he's like, let them die.
What?
Yeah. So in this debate, somehow being chased around by a bunch of dinosaurs has turned her on to loving them. And his years of training, Blue the raptor, and being rescued again by Blue the raptor at the end of the last movie, he has decided, fuck them. Let him die.
Wow.
But she talks him into it. Of course, it's one of those things where, like, nothing's going to get me to go there. And then the next scene is, like, them going there.
Right, of course.
And there's some other characters that go with them. There's some annoying little computer guy, because you always got to have a computer guy in a Jurassic Park movie. Except for the third one, I guess. And this paleo veterinarian, which I have no idea how you become a paleo veterinarian, because it's pretty clear that she's never met a dinosaur before. So how she's learned to doctor them to health, I do not know. And it does become pretty clear throughout the movie that she can do some amazing things, like give a raptor a blood transfusion from a T-Rex.
What?
Yeah. So anyway.
That can't happen.
It does. Oh, dude, it's so not the worst thing that happens in the movie. So the first section, I don't even think this actually breaks down to 3 acts, but the first section of the movie is, and I know you mentioned it before, but, you know, listeners, lots of spoilers here. They go to the island. They really don't do anything, and I don't know exactly what they're planning to do to rescue the dinosaurs, but I guess they're okay. So they're going with the bad guys that at that point somehow you're not supposed to know are bad guys, but it's a little hard not to because they're busy twirling their mustaches the whole time.
Right.
And I don't mean that literally, but it's so close. Like at one point, one of the guys just like literally straight up pulls a gun on, I think on Chris Pratt, who does get tranquilized and has a comedic moment of near death where lava's about to get all over him, but he's waking his body up from a tranquilizer, and it's funny, dramatic, scary. I don't know what they're going for. It's whatever Chris Pratt can do. And so anyway, I think the turning point was somewhere in there, like when the bad guys, quote unquote, go bad. Shortly thereafter, they're leaving the island. It's really dumb. They're the 4 people. Yeah, the computer guy, the veterinarian, who's really cute. Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt are getting onto the boat of the bad guys, in spite of the fact that they were supposed to be left behind. And so they whatever, they escape the island. And within that whole thing, there are a bunch of dumb moments. There's all these dinosaurs trying to escape lava and explosions to the degree that they jump off of cliffs and stuff. And in the midst of all that, the Tyrannosaurus decides it's got time to get into a fight with another dinosaur.
Oh.
And like establish its dominance. So whatever, that happens. I mean, it literally attacks the other dinosaur, kind of punks it down, and then runs away. And I think it might be fighting the other dinosaur over the people, but then it's like, whatever. I don't need these people. I'm gonna run away now.
Okay.
And then as they're on the boat escaping, they look back and you see this brontosaurus or brachiosaurus, I think. If my dinosaur knowledge is up to date, brontosaurus doesn't even exist anymore. So anyway, this brachiosaurus.
I think it's back.
I know its name changed at some point to Apatosaurus, but I don't know. Either way, this brachiosaurus, just like, and then maybe it's even supposed to be the same one as in the first movie when it like stands on its hind legs and bites the, tops of the tree. In that sort of awesome pose as the music kicks in.
Yeah.
It does that same thing while it's being smothered in smoke and fire and dying.
Oh, God.
And yeah. It's probably the one moment in the movie where you actually feel something other than buyer's remorse. So there's this really heavy, dark moment of watching this poor dinosaur die. And as this was all happening too, as they're getting ready to get off the island and, dinosaurs are doing scary things, I did have this thought that like so many dinosaurs in these movies are terrible, terrible hunters. Like aside from the velociraptors, who are clever girls or at least one of them is in the first movie, these dinosaurs all seem to take the time to sneak up on people and then announce their presence and to like lean down next to them and be like, "Rawr, I'm about to eat you." I'm like, that seems like the last way you'd want to hunt somebody.
I'm going to eat you.
Yeah, I'm going to bite your leg. So anyway, that's like the first 30 minutes of the movie. Then there's, I don't even know if this is in the same building or later, but velociraptors seem to be able to, or at least Blue seems to be able to read. There's a moment where there's a explosive chemical and fire nearby. And so, of course, as an audience member with the music and everything, just not being an idiot, you can look at it and go, oh, something's about to explode. But the dinosaur seems to have the same thought. Like, it does sniff the air for a second, and I'm going, okay, well, so it smells something that's unpleasant. I could see why it would leave. But it sniffs the air, then looks at the flammable sign. Then, instead of just leaving, kind of has the, oh shit, better get out of here kind of expression in language, body language, and then it takes off, and there's an explosion, and whatever. This velociraptor goes through all sorts of hell in this movie. It gets shot with a bullet early on, and it seems to be a big dramatic thing that it's been shot, but it gets exploded, thrown off of things, bitten by other dinosaurs, all sorts of other stuff. And throughout the rest of the movie, it's like, cool, I'm fine. Like, it's indestructible to a ridiculous degree, and in a way that's like, at some point in the movie, once they get the blood transfusion from the T-Rex, there's just that dumbass moment, that happens in so many things where someone goes, he's gonna be okay, and you're always like, wait a minute, just because you pulled a bullet out of someone doesn't mean they're in the clear.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You had to do a blood transfusion. And as I make this complaint, I'm making about every movie that does that. Because so many do that, where they're like, oh, there's just this turning point where you go, clearly they're fine.
It's just a flesh wound. Never
mind all that blood.
Right.
Which I'm not actually sure there is any of in this movie. In spite of a lot of people dying, I don't know if there's any blood. Like, you literally watch a guy get his arm ripped off, and you're like, Did it bleed at all? So anyway, once it's, gonna be all right, it doesn't matter what happens to it after that, because it's basically the dinosaur version of John McClane. Let's see here. People, one of the other complaints I have is that everyone seems to be able to outrun a T-Rex. Like, I remember in the first movie when, like, the Jeep had a hard time and Jeff Goldblum was like, must go faster.
Right.
But in these movies, everyone it doesn't matter if you're wearing heels or boots or whatever. Although they do I think they put a significant amount of effort into this, in this movie, into showing that Bryce Dallas Howard is no longer wearing heels. She's wearing shoes.
Oh, okay.
Boots.
I was going to ask about that.
No, she's wearing regular shoes now. But again, people outrunning Tyrannosaurus. And then the new monstrosity dinosaur, which is called an Indoraptor. It actually does start rapping at some point in the movie. No. Not true.
Oh.
But
voiced by Robin Williams.
I swear to God, it was too soon. That it could have. If there's one scene in particular, I'll get to it a little later. There's one scene in particular where if it did start rapping, I would not have been surprised. And I'm not really kidding.
They create another new dinosaur?
Yeah, well, and that sounds like a spoiler, but like they show it in the preview. You've seen this whole movie in the preview. Honestly, like, you've seen so much of it. All you haven't seen is the bullshit details that were added to pad the runtime.
Huh.
So yeah, you see it in the preview, I think, in a cage with all sorts of lights around it and people staring at it, almost like it's at an auction. 'Cause it is. Because in this movie, they auction off the dinosaurs. Which is funny because you actually get to see, like you can tell that the whole franchise does not value the experience of dinosaurs at all anymore. I mean, there's no awe. And I know that's part of the sort of meta commentary or conversation in the last movie, where they're like, oh yeah, Verizon Wireless brings us Indominus Rex. But it's really gotten to the point where, like, there's just no love for these dinosaurs at all. And this auction puts monetary value to it because these people, these, I don't know, gangsters or corrupt politicians or whatever, rich people from different countries are buying these dinosaurs for like $5 million, $10 million.
Uh-huh.
Like such a low number that you're like, man, even the characters in the movie who are super rich don't want to invest in these animals. And I think at the end of it, they like buy, I don't know, maybe 20 dinosaurs or something. And the total bill is something like $128 million, which I'm not 100% sure, but I'll bet is less than the budget for this movie.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
In the world of the movie, you can buy all the actual dinosaurs in the movie for less than the budget of the movie about doing that.
Right.
So that's ridiculous. And that's kind of the second and third act, is that these dinosaurs get to a rich guy's house. I'm not kidding. And the whole second and third act, if that's what they are, take place in someone's house.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh, and he doesn't know because his evil, I don't know, assistant, whatever he might be, nephew, I'm not sure, has built a dinosaur cage, kind of like a shitty zoo for dinosaurs, in the basement without the rich guy knowing, because he's old. I mean, you get the sense that he's kind of bedridden, but like he just has no idea apparently that all this construction's been going on, and that this whole plot's been happening, like that this guy's going to sell the dinosaurs.
So the dinosaurs get brought to the mainland, no problem then?
Oh yeah, once they get on that boat, they're off to the mainland. There's really no drama in between. Nothing like happens. You see them get on the boat and then they're there. And they're in the basement, and there's a little girl in the movie, of course, because Jurassic Park has to have little girls. Okay. And she discovers what's going on, but she's like 10, so she tries to tell her grandpa, and he's like, don't make stuff up. And she's like, I'm not. And yeah, and of course, like the one line she has for character development is asking her grandpa if she looks like her mom, who's dead.
Oh.
And then at the end, you find out that she is her mom because she's a clone.
What?
Oh yeah, because, sorry, you probably didn't see this coming.
No.
Somehow, John Hammond had a partner, and they had a falling out, and that's why you've never, ever heard of him. They had a falling out, and, they kind of hint throughout the movie of, like, who is this girl's mom? And it's herself, because that's what the falling out was about. That John Hammond was like, no, you should only clone dinosaurs. You shouldn't clone your dying daughter. That would be bad. Don't be a selfish jerk. But let's open up a theme park.
Right.
Yeah. So that's there. Like I said, there are kind of a lot of plots, and they don't really go together well.
I mean, I guess it makes sense a little bit that if you can clone a dinosaur from 65 million years ago, that you could clone your daughter from 3 days ago. But
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's ridiculous that it could be done. I mean, I'm sure it's in the. Is it actually in the present somewhere? Because I wanted to say I'm sure it's in the future, but I don't know. Human cloning is probably already happening. Who knows? Anyway, point being, it happened here. I think the stupid part of it isn't so much that she's a clone; it's that it is a plot point, and that this is like, oh yeah, they were kind of equal partners. He just, there's this falling out, and we've never heard of them. So let's see. So this Indoraptor, And at this point, the whole
Is
like
this
buying the dinosaurs and all the research stuff doesn't really matter anyway, because at the very beginning of the movie, you see that they are, instead of using amber now, they're just cloning from the dinosaurs. Which, duh, you know, like now that you've made dinosaurs, you can just clone from them. So they're like taking bones off of skeletons so that they can clone them.
can't the dinosaurs just reproduce at this point? Like, why do they need to keep cloning them?
I don't know. You know, life did find a way at some point, and you figure that'd still be going.
Raptors are breeding.
Yeah. So, yeah. So this Indoraptor
is this in the trailer? The raptor that's like got the claws going towards the little girl.
Yes.
Okay.
And I mean, it's kind of gnarly looking, but it also looks a bit like a toothy salamander. Like it's got this sort of sheen to it that's weird. It's the same plot as the last one, where it's like, hey, we created this mutant dinosaur. Here you go. This one's supposed to be scarier. It's not. And it's, of course, like the worst part of the last movie was the whole military thing. So that's what it's about. Because this thing has been... I am not exaggerating. The point of this raptor that's supposed to make it special is that you can kind of play it like a video game.
Oh, man. So we're getting closer and closer to the actual plot of the original Jurassic Park 4.
Yeah, kind of. You know how people have those laser pens for their cats?
Yeah.
You got that for this thing. And you put the dot where you want it to attack, and then you push a button, push the attack button, and it attacks.
Oh,
it's
God.
the dumbest goddamn thing. Yeah, so there's that.
Oh, man.
And there are a handful of callbacks throughout the movie, like that dinosaur that's dying. I'm pretty sure the pose it's making is supposed to be like the pose in the first one. And then there's another goddamn stupid thing where this Indoraptor, like, it's getting everywhere it needs to go. Like, it can go through metal. It's like tearing apart like banisters that are made of iron and stuff like that all over the place. It's just ripping things apart.
Just unstoppable.
Yeah, except for when it runs into a little bit of wood. That's the I guess reinforced front of a dumbwaiter. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So it's smashing through iron bars and stuff. And then the little girl has a callback moment to that scene where Lex is trying to close the thing that she's hiding in.
It's a Unix
and the raptor
system.
runs toward it.
I know this.
Well, not the computer thing, but where she's in the where they're in the kitchen and she tries to hide in the cupboard and she's trying to pull the thing down.
Oh, with the reflection.
And the raptor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is exactly like that. This girl climbs into a dumbwaiter and is trying to pull the thing down, and then she does, and you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, it went kind of silent. And then the raptor, or the Indoraptor, runs into that, and even though it's been smashing through everything, it's like, oh man, I can't get into this dumbwaiter. It's impossible. So, boy. All right. So here's the moment that's really the worst.
Okay.
The Indoraptor, at one point in this movie, more or less plays a prank on someone, like sort of the tap you on the shoulder thing with its tail.
Okay.
Like it's playing dead, then it wiggles its tail around, and the guy turns around, and then the Indoraptor smiles. It opens its eye and smiles, and I'm not quite sure it literally winks at the camera, but it does. It really does. I mean, it closes its eye and it opens it again. It smiles, Nick.
You sure it's not just baring its teeth?
I am. I'm very sure, because it does it again 2 seconds later. Because I kind of was like, I didn't just see that, did I? Oh, here it is again. It's kind of like, I wish that hadn't just happened. I'm going to pretend it didn't. And then the movie was like, no, you're not. Here it is. You know, in Jurassic Park 3, there's a moment where the dinosaur talks. And this is where I was saying I wouldn't have been surprised if it did start rapping. Like, I seriously wouldn't. There's a moment where the dinosaur talks, and I remember in Jurassic Park 3 being like, oh God, that didn't just happen, did it? And then the movie goes, no, it didn't. It was a dream.
Right.
Just fucking with you. And then they were like, no, let's just do it. Let's do it all the way. Let's have the dinosaur wink at the camera. And this is what I'm saying, where like, if this had come out after Jurassic Park 1, I would have been furious. But I just would have been furious by the disrespect paid to the people in the audience. But here it's just, man, I can't believe they went there. Like when you hear Donald Trump say, my supporters would vote for me even if I killed somebody in the street. And you go, wait, what? That's real? This is actually happening? And that's how this is. It's so weird, Nick. It's surreal, man. And I've been giving this some thought. Okay, so that's kind of, in summary, I would say this.
Well, can I ask a question before you wrap up?
Sure. Yeah.
What is Chris Pratt doing the whole movie?
Well, he's running around. At one point, he's trying to get blood out of a T-Rex. And that might be the most fun moment in the whole movie, but it's not. I mean, it's not fun. It's just as good as it can get. And I'll bet you that is because there's actually a T-Rex there. Like, it's actually, you can tell it's actually been built.
Oh, it's
and
like
so there's a texture kind of to it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And then he jumps through its mouth, like through its teeth, and that part's CGI and it's terrible. But like, yeah, he's running around, and of course, you know, he and Bryce Dallas Howard at some point sort of befriend this little girl, so they're sort of protecting her, but that's like maybe 10 minutes of the movie, and it doesn't matter, and who cares? He talks with Blue a little bit at the end, kind of to a ridiculous degree, like he's explaining things to Blue, like, come with us, you could have a good life. I don't know how, I don't know where he's planning on hiding a dinosaur, but he's basically saying to the dinosaur, come on and be our pet. And you do get a little bit of backstory of him and Blue, which, actually, I'll say that's the highlight of the movie, because you actually get to see him training Blue and being kind of impressed with it. And I love dogs, and it's kind of like a dog. And there you go. That's the highlight of the movie. And it's about 1 minute worth of stuff. And, yeah, the rest of the movie, he's just running around. I mean, at the end, he's trying to escape the Indoraptor, and Bryce Dallas Howard gets the training gun, and they try to kill it, and it doesn't work, and then it does. And Blue's involved and should get the shit kicked out of it, but whatever, he's fine.
Right.
Indoraptor dies, obviously. And then
how does it die?
It falls on a Triceratops skull.
Really?
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't even like it for as indestructible as they're making these dinosaurs seem. There's no like I'm stuck and I'm stabbed. It's just like dead, like instantly, just like
right.
Falls, stabbed, dead. And
where are they that there's a Triceratops skull, like in a museum or something?
Well, they're in the house, Nick. I mean, the house is a house and a museum and a zoo.
Oh
So
my.
yeah. And then at the end, there's this big. All the dinosaurs are being poisoned. I don't remember why. And they're like, should we let them go, or should we leave them here and let them die? And Bryce Dallas Howard finally decides, let's let them die.
Really?
And so they're gonna let them die. But then the little girl pushes the button to let them out, and she's like, I had to let them out. They're alive, like me.
Oh
And so the
god.
dinosaurs get out, and then at the very end, you see Blue. Um, you know how at the end of every movie the T-Rex growls,
Yeah.
roars. So at the end of this one, Blue roars on the side of kind of an over, like a cliff overlooking a little town, like I'm about to eat some children.
Right.
That's how it ends. Oh, and it's somewhere in that too. There's Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt are on a train or something, a bus, a truck. I don't know. They're looking out the window and they see some pterodactyls, and you're like, wow, this movie really just wants to be. It doesn't want to be the other movies at all, but it wants the credit for them. It so doesn't want to be the other movies that it's weird, and then it's still like, yeah, we got the Jurassic Park name on us, suckers. You can't do anything about it.
So the movie ends with dinosaurs just living in the wild?
Oh yeah, yeah, and apparently that's the whole purpose of this movie. Like the reason this movie doesn't really have a plot or anything is that whatever the Colin Trevorrow, I think, has been wanting to get the dinosaurs to the mainland so that there's a movie where they're running amok, and I couldn't care less, honestly. I'll probably still go. Like I went to this. I would say, do not. If you first of all, I'd say don't see the movie. But if you are going to, do not go alone. Had I been in the theater by myself, I probably would have been more pissed than the solo thing. Like, but I went with one of my best friends out here who's like my former work wife, you know, like, and we're super tight and we watch all these bad monster movies. And her husband who's awesome, and my girlfriend who's also awesome. And so, you know, I've got all these great people with me, but if I was on my own, I felt terrible for my girlfriend. I owe her big time. I don't know what sort of movie I'm going to have to go see to make up for it, but it was just kind of giving me the look like, I can't believe this is a thing, and then it's still going. And I'm like, I know, but yeah, do not see it alone.
Does it have the replay value that Jurassic Park 3 has? Or do you not know yet?
Given that I never want to see it again, I'm going to say no. I mean, it's long too. It's long, and it's not okay. I'll make one exception. I will watch this movie again with you.
Okay.
Other than that, it doesn't have a chance. I'm not going to bother. Now, if you and I sit down and watch it together, we could probably laugh. But I definitely am more interested in seeing Jurassic Park 3 than I am ever seeing this again.
How did you feel about Jurassic World?
I thought it was okay. I saw it twice. And I saw it the first time I saw it with my friend DePolly, who I was just talking about, and a bunch of other friends. And as a social thing, it's, you know, like this one, as a social thing, you might be able to enjoy it. As a movie, you can't. That one, I enjoyed it enough that I was like, well, that was better than I expected it to be. It was a bit more of a movie than the third one, so okay. And you know, if I were to like rate the movie, I'd say Jurassic Park A+. Jurassic World D. Or sorry, Jurassic whatever, Lost World Jurassic Park D. Jurassic Park 3 like a cross between an F and an A because it's a terrible movie, but it's super enjoyable. I didn't enjoy the second one at all. Like I don't like watching that movie when it's on. It's so long and it's crap. And then Lost World, or damn it, Jurassic World, I would say like C+. I enjoyed it. And then I saw it a second time and I was like, wow, all the things that I didn't like about it, like the kids. Yeah, the kids, I hated them.
Okay.
Well, and the Indominus Rex thing, I wasn't a huge fan of, like the monster creation thing.
Right.
Mostly because I was afraid it would go down the road that it's going down. So, like, you know, I'd give that well, what did I just say? Like C+. C+ sounds right. But then this one's just it's an F. And without actually seeing it with you in person, I don't think I can assess any further enjoyment of it in the future. I will say, making comments to Karina, my girlfriend, and to Polly, my friend, like just kind of leaning back and forth and saying things here and there. I got a little bit of enjoyment out of, you know, that, but that's mostly because of them, not because the movie was doing anything special. So don't see it on your own. And you know, when I look at this whole thing, I kind of blame Spielberg, and I know he didn't have anything directly to do with this, and I know some people do like The Lost World, but I feel like the whole trajectory that the sequels have taken wouldn't need to be this, you know, because even the third one actually is a small group of people trying to survive dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And that's what these movies could be. You know, if you had some decent characters, I don't know that there would need to be, what are we at, 5? I don't know that there'd need to be 5 of them, but there could still be a good Jurassic Park movie if a boat crashed and people were stuck on the island. But instead, in The Lost World, we had to go down the stupid road of bringing the dinosaurs to the mainland and having there be like evil people involved. Like, that just doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
There doesn't need to be an evil mustache twirling rich guy who wants to do anything with the dinosaurs to have an excellent movie. But fucking Jurassic Park Lost World, or Lost World Jurassic World, they decided, yeah, we got to do that. And so all these movies have more people and evil people, and it ends up being about the people and not just, you know, actual characters in their interaction with dinosaurs and the dinosaurs themselves and the awe and shock. I mean, if people just crashed a boat and ended up on the island, they could see a dinosaur that's not a killer dinosaur and still have that moment of like, oh my God, look at that.
Yeah.
This movie has that for a moment where this Brachiosaurus walks by. And you almost, I mean, like, I looked at the characters like, what are you doing? Like, why are you even looking at it like that? And it took me a moment to realize that, oh, 2 of these characters haven't seen the dinosaurs in person before. And I guess Chris Pratt is, you know, like, surprised to see one again. You know, there's a moment, I think it's Jurassic Park 3, because I think it's Sam Neill, who, when he sees the dinosaurs again, he goes, oh my God, I forgot. And it actually works. You're like, oh, yeah, I guess he would have, like, it would still be a meaningful thing to see them again. But
there's a line.
These guys, I'm like, why are you surprised? Like, I don't even care that this dinosaur's walking around. And that's what I paid to come to see.
There's a good line from The Lost World where they see where it's like Vince Vaughn and Julianne Moore, they see the dinosaurs for the first time. I think they're crossing a river or whatever. And they're like, oh my God, wow, this is amazing. And Jeff Goldblum says, yeah, it's great now, but later there's running and screaming.
Right.
Like, that's a good line.
And that was fine for that. You know, like the Lost World. Now if I ever sit down and watch it again, I'm gonna disagree with myself here. But the Lost World isn't that bad for the first 2/3, with the exception of the girl doing gymnastics and existing because she's annoying and stupid and doesn't need to be there. But then, like, the end is terrible. But if it had just been them on the island going like, here we are, we have a reason to be here, and we're in a position of being in awe and then being terrified.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a bit of a formula, but it works a lot better than trying to up the ante bring in evil people, make dinosaurs that aren't dinosaurs anymore, and try to convince us that they should be even scarier because they can be played like video games or taught to communicate and whatever, like oh, they can talk so well. I'm like, whatever. You could have a Tyrannosaurus and be like, that thing's dumb, but it's got giant teeth.
Right.
I'd be with the characters who are terrified.
Yeah.
But they just, I don't know, it doesn't work that way. They don't do that. So that's my proposal for Jurassic Park 6. You pretend that none of these movies have happened except for the first one. You have a boat crash into the island, and people who've never seen dinosaurs before go through the process of being in awe. Have the dinosaurs be puppets so we can actually like see them and feel like they're real.
Mm-hmm.
Don't add any cool features. don't give them any what do you call it in a video game where you can like get like mods and stuff for your guns?
Yeah, that's it. Mods.
Okay, well, mods then. Yeah, don't give the dinosaurs any mods. Don't give them cool colors or anything. Let them just be dinosaurs, and I bet we could still have a really good time.
Yeah, you're right.
So
it's it's like a horror movie. It's all it is. It's just it just needs to be a horror movie.
Well, I think
we don't.
Horror, kind of like the way you just said in that line. Horror that starts out with some shock and awe, but turns into fear.
Yeah,
just like the first one. This one's just trying to be a PG-13 slasher. Like it goes more of a horror route, but it's definitely not R, so it can't work. It's not scary, and I really do think that like having the people involved in a way where they're sort of manipulating things or what's happening is on account of them being evil really takes that out of it. It's like if you were to have Jason Voorhees chasing people around, and then all of a sudden he were to take off his mask and sit down and go, let me tell you about my childhood. Right. let me explain it to you in detail. And you're like, you're creepier the more alien you are to me.
Yeah, the more we know, the less scary you are.
Yeah, and when they start putting dinosaurs into the control of a video game machine, you start to go, hey, this isn't scary the way a dinosaur would be anymore. It's just dumb and weird.
Right.
Makes them a tool for, bad guys, which we don't need.
Interesting.
So anyway, that's a lot more of the movie than I originally thought I'd be telling you about, and it's awful.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
Well, take people.
Yeah, I won't see it till it comes out on video, but I'm looking forward to it. We'll do a commentary track for that movie too.
Oh,
just to make you have to watch it again.
Yeah. So I think that you and I talked before about doing a commentary on Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
And I think if we can find the time in our schedule, now's the time to do it, because we can prove a couple things there. One, that it's bad and horrible and hilarious, and that it can be fun, to have a bad movie
right
that sort of knows what it is, and that it only takes an hour and a half.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap things up for this week's show. Matt gives Jurassic World 2 great big thumbs up.
Oh, yeah.
And let me see. What did I talk about again? Right.
Japanese punk documentary.
Yeah, Danger Boys, Punks in Osaka, and Le Sequel. They were both brought to me by the directors of the film. So if you have a film or something that you want want us to watch, or if you just have a recommendation for us, please let us know. We'll definitely check it out. And Matt, anything to plug at the end, or?
No. Go see Jurassic Park. Just the original one. Just like put the DVD in and enjoy that.
I tried to get my son to watch that like a year ago when he was 4, and he was all on board. Like he was enjoying it. He was enjoying it the whole way because he was vaguely aware of dinosaurs at the time. And then the T-Rex attack, where the T-Rex comes through the roof of the car with Lex and what's the boy kid's name? Tim. With Lex and Tim, where the T-Rex's mouth comes through the top of the car. That's when we lost him. That's when he started to cry, and I was like, all right, we'll turn it off. So maybe I need to try to watch that with him again. Maybe he's old enough to get through it. I don't know.
Perhaps, yeah.
But all right, yeah. If that's if you want to get in touch with us, you can contact us on Facebook, Twitter, or our website, thisweekinfilm.com. But if that's the end of the reel, we'll see you next week in film.
Bye.